Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of Lowry at Home. This is episode 11. I'm your host, Naturalist Kirk, and thanks for coming along with us on this journey. You know, we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for this week. If you're new to Lowry at Home, we are here every weekday at 10 a.m., bringing you natural history and nature, environmental ed content right to your home. Today, naturalist Lauren is bringing us some information about American toads. So, take it away, Lauren.
Hey everybody, it's Naturalist Lauren, and today, as you may have guessed, we're going to learn about toads. And here at Lowry we have American toads. We've got two. We've got Fiona right here and Shrek right there. Shrek and Fiona. And some of you may have noticed that of the two, there is a very big difference in size. For toads, American toads, females do get larger than the males, so Fiona is the larger of the two. Now, if you're watching, maybe you know a lot about toads, but maybe you don't. A common question we get here at the Nature Center is, what's the difference between a frog and a toad? Basic answer is, frogs have a tendency to have smoother, wet skin because they spend most of their time in or near the water, whereas toads have drier, bumpier skin because they spend a lot of their time on land. Now, both frogs and toads start their lives under the water. They lay eggs under the water that hatch, and then they become tadpoles, and then eventually those tadpoles grow their legs. But like I said, toads have a tendency, once they're adults, to spend more time on land. Now, a couple other things to notice. Our toads here, we'll see if we can get an up-close look. They have something called a tympanic membrane. Oh, he's not happy. A tympanic membrane behind their eyes. And that actually works just like our eardrum. It's what picks up sound waves as they're passing by their bodies, creates vibrations, and then their brains process those vibrations as sound. And it's a really cool adaptation because it allows for toads to hear both on land and even underwater, which can be really good if they're avoiding predators or looking for food. Now, another thing that you might notice on the back of the toad, we'll use Shrek again, is behind their eyes, behind that tympanic membrane, is this sort of longer, bigger bump. It's basically a gland that toads have that produces a toxin, something that allows them to avoid predators if the predators try to pick them up with their mouths, because that toxin tastes really bad. So some predators already know, I don't want to eat a toad because it tastes bad. But other predators, when they try to eat that toad, they get the toxin. It's a liquid that essentially gets like secreted or almost like sweat out. That toxin goes into their bodies and it can poison them. Now, I've been touching the toad, so some people wonder, well, if I'm a human and I touch a toad, do I get poisoned? No, the answer is no. For humans, if we react to the toxin at all, it's typically like an allergic reaction. We don't die from touching the toxins that toads produce. Now, with that said, there are a number of predators out there that do like to eat toads, and in Minnesota, those are a various assortment of birds, a number of snakes, especially the western hognose snake, and a variety of mammals. As far as what toads like to eat, toads have a pretty basic diet. They like to eat insects, whatever they can find moving around them in the habitat. They also like to eat worms, and sometimes they'll eat snails as well. Now, if you're wondering about where toads can be found, as I said, in the springtime for breeding season, toads are going to be spending time closer to swamps and wetlands because they lay their eggs in the water. So when they find a mate, they need to be close to water to lay those eggs. Now, it's not quite breeding season now, but once the breeding season is over, the adults are going to go to the forest or grasslands. As we said, the adult toads have a tendency to stay away from water more so than frogs do. Now, in the wintertime, toads are still in Minnesota. They don't migrate, they don't fly away. They actually have little knobs on their feet that allow them to dig under the soil, create a little bit of a home for themselves, and that's where they stay in the wintertime. They go into a state of dormancy, like sleeping, But they make sure that that tunnel they dug is below what we call the frost line, basically how far down the ground freezes in the wintertime. Now, toads are even aware of that line because as winters fluctuate, if it gets really, really cold or if it's a warmer winter, the frost line can change. And toads have the ability to be aware enough to move down if the frost line goes down, or they can just stay in place if they don't need to because the frost line is staying stable. Ooh. So, thank you for listening and learning about toads. Please submit any questions if you want to learn more. Otherwise, we're going to send it back to Kirk. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Lauren. That was great. And thank you to all of you for stopping by today to take a little bit of time out of your day to learn about the natural world. I hope you'll learn more by getting outside and enjoying some of the nice weather we've got coming our way this week. And we'll see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. for more Lowry at Home.